Okay guys, so here's a second video just to give you a few more tips to think about when you're working with Photoshop. So one of the assignments talks about using visual gray, so I want to talk to you about that. And then the other one that I wanted you to think about is you can use texture, you can use pattern, I guess I should say, instead of texture for some of your shapes. And so that might be something you consider doing. And I wanted to show you some easy ways to create things like stripes or dots or things like that that you might want to create. So let's do the dots first. And one thing that I thought I would show you, I guess the guides are on. So one thing that you might want to do is have these little guides on. Under this view option, you can also see where it says show the grid. So I'm going to pull that up just to show you. You can look at that shortcut there, and if you can pay attention to shortcuts, it makes your life a little easier. So sometimes I just do the shortcut instead of coming to here. Okay, so you can see that there's this grid. So if we wanted to make a really simple dot pattern, there are pattern fills in Photoshop, but sometimes that can get a little complicated. So I thought I would just show you quickly how to do it. So I'm just going to use the selection tool just for ease. And if I start in the middle of one of these squares, holding down Option and Shift and pull out, I'm going to go to, let's see, about right there. And then I'm just going to fill that with black just so you can see it. Make sure I'm on a layer. Okay. Now what I can do is if I have the move tool selected, I can just hold down Option and drag that guy over. And you can see that I can just drag it to the center of each little grid block that I have. So I'm basically just making a pattern. Once I get all of those made, you can see they're all on separate layers here. I'm going to put all those guys on one layer. So if I just have this layer selected and then another one, if I hold down Shift and click, it has all of those together. And then I'll go to Layer and Merge Layers here at the bottom. And now they're all one layer. So now what I could do is I can hold down Option with the Move tool selected, drag these guys down. So that could be like a grid of circles. I'm going to move them over to kind of make this offset pattern. Like that. What else do I need to do? Let's see. I'm just going to try to, I'm going to try to fill the screen with this so that so you can get the idea here of what I'm doing. So I'm just holding down Option and dragging. At any point, so I'm going to merge all those together again. So I'm going to hold down Shift. And this time I'm just going to hit Command E because that's the shortcut. And now this whole thing is one big shape. So now I'm just going to come back and I'm just going to fill this screen with dots. I'm just using my arrow keys right now to do that. If you want to clear that grid, you can just hit Command and the apostrophe. So you can see that. Oops. I'm going to bring my grid back and do that again. You can see because I have those the guides on that it is pulling up these little pink lines, and those are telling me when things are in the right place. So that's probably good. You could do the whole screen. I'm just going to stop there. Okay. Oops, I messed up. Off somewhere. All right, we're going to go with this. So let me combine all those. I'm going to get rid of this bottom part. I just don't think I need that. Delete that. Okay, so let's just do a little basic thing to show you. So let's say I wanted to make a square. What you might want to do is have a page where you just have some pattern that you're like working with. So I could make this bigger or smaller. I could use it at this size. So what I'm going to do is just duplicate this layer. So I'm going to hold down Option and click and drag. You probably want to fill your page. I'm just shortcutting it to keep the video short. So here's my stuff on this layer. So if I use the rectangular marquee tool, and I just draw myself a little rectangle, what that does is it's selecting the stuff that's in here. So what I want to do is keep all this stuff, but I want to delete all the stuff that's around it. So I'm going to go to Select Inverse and hit Delete. And then now I have polka dots in my thing. Oh, see that? So sometimes you end up with some stuff that's in the way. So I'm just on the eraser tool here just to get rid of that stuff, just in case. So now I've got a polka dotted square. The other thing you can do is if you use the magic wand, making sure that contiguous isn't checked, I can click on it. And then I could go and fill those guys. I could go up to Edit and Fill. I can fill them with a color. I could choose a nice light gray. Okay. And now I've got light gray. So that's a good way to kind of create a really simple little pattern. I'm going to hide that and then show you one more thing. An easier move is to create some stripes. So I'm just going to make a long skinny rectangle. I'm going to fill it. Then I'm going to pull up my rulers again just so I can see where things are. So, and you can see when you're using this, it helps you to see that you're going the right distance between each one. So I missed it there. I'm going to make these a little kind of irregular, so I'm going to grab another one. I'm going to do Free Transform, Command T, make that one bigger. Pull one over here. I'm going to make that guy bigger, so I'm going to do Command T, make that guy big. Pull it over again, Command T, make that guy even bigger. And then I was thinking it might be cool to have it be a gradient. So I think what I'll do is I'll select this guy and I will go a little lighter for that one. Go to this one, make it a little lighter. Go to this one, make it a little lighter. And so on. So I'm just going to keep going. A little lighter. Okay, got 3 more to go. I want to go a little lighter, but not to white. So this one, I think I'm just going to make the same color. There we go. So now I've got this little kind of gradient here. So I'm going to turn that. I'm going to do Command T, Free Transform. Turn it. And this might be a cool, like maybe a cool background even, if you wanted to create some distance. You can see that it's a nice gradient. For the purpose of this, I'm just going to make it into a pattern inside of a shape. So you can see I have all these layers selected. I'm going to duplicate all of those. Well, actually, I'll just merge them. So I'll hit Command E. So now they're all one thing. I'm going to save this because I'd like to use it for something else later. So I'll hold down Option. And there you go. I've got a copy, so I'm going to get rid of it. And then now I can just make like a circle or an oval if I want. Make a circle. If you want to transform your selection, you can hold down Control and click, and then you'll get Transform Selection, and that'll allow you to reshape your selection. So if you want it to be bigger or smaller, whatever, you can do that. And hit Enter. And then now what I want to do is, maybe what I'll do is cut this out of here. So I'll do edit, cut, edit, paste. So I'll move that guy over here. So now you can see I've got the shape itself. Trying to get it to there. And then I've also got this that has just the hole cut out of it. So I could even go in there in the center, Option, Shift. And fill that in. So that's kind of a fun way to make some patterns. I just want you to start thinking about how can you make these more dynamic so that you're not just using flat color everywhere. So dots, diamond shapes, patterns of triangles. So you could do any of this, right? I mean, even if you did it with the shape tool, you could choose polygons and make like a beehive-like shape. You can choose things from the ellipse tool. I guess be careful. One of the ones I'd like you to stay away from is the custom shape tool. Here you can see that you can choose all these shapes, and some of them are just terrible. Some of them are okay, but you know, you don't want to like a bunch of hearts or arrows. They just sort of seem pre-made. So make your own and kind of try to make those interesting. So that's kind of the basics of that. And then the very last thing I'm going to show you with this, I'll just hide all these layers. I'm going to save this. I didn't save it yet. Saving it to the desktop. I got two quick things, sorry. The other one is this pen tool here. We didn't go over this in class, but it's the same as the shape tool in terms that you can draw with little points. So up at the top, you can see it says stroke and fill. So here's the stroke and here's the fill. So I'm just going to fill it with a gray, and I'll let the stroke be like a 3-point. What happens with the pen tool is wherever you click, it drops an anchor point. And then you need to close your path. So if you're going to draw like a custom shape, you can see I get that little circle. I can, draw a custom shape with it. The trick with the pen tool is if you click and drag, you get those handles we talked about in class. So if you wanted to make curved shapes, so you can see how that works. So the pen tool is fun to play with. Sometimes people have a hard time controlling it to get things to be super customized. So feel free to play around with it, but you can certainly do a lot with some of those pre-made shapes if you want. So let me drag that here. And then the very last one I want to show you is using text. I'm going to go to Google. I'm going to look up lorem ipsum. Lorem ipsum is like a placeholder text if you've never heard of it. It's just Latin like set of words that people use if they're designing like a magazine layout or something. They use it as a way to kind of be a placeholder. So it doesn't really read as something. It's just kind of showing where the text would go if you're making like a magazine layout or something like that. So I'm going to search in images. I'm going to go to search tools. I'm going to search for a large image. And then here you can see I pulled up the lorem ipsum there. Let's view image. So if I do view image, it gives me the image itself. So I'm just going to drag that over to my desktop over here. I'm going to go back to Photoshop. I can drag that right into Photoshop. So I'm going to hit return. You can see that it makes it a smart object right here. So if I hold Control and click, I can rasterize that. Oops. Need to click in the blue. There we go. Now I can treat that like I treat any other pattern, right? So let's do a triangle just to walk through that real quick. So if I click on the artboard, I'm going to do a triangle that's 4 by 4 inches, not pixels. Okay. There's that. Let's see. I am going to make that have no stroke. I'm going to rasterize that shape. I'm going to use the magic wand to select that shape. And then I'm going to go here, and you can see my selection is still there. It's just hard to see. And I'll copy and paste. Now, you see I have a triangle. That if I wanted to change it so that what was black was white, I could go up to Image, Adjustments, Invert, and then it flips it around so that what's black is now white. So that's pretty basic. You can look up anything that way. You know, if you want to go to Google image search and look up dots or a halftone pattern, all that stuff is kind of fun to play with. So you get some visual grays. So that might be one way that you play with it. Okay, I think that's it.